Hey guys, iSkill here, back for another What If video. And for today's video, we'll be continuing What If Giovanni was Ash's father. Where we had last left off, we set up Pikachu's backstory alongside his meeting with Ash and their journey through Route 22 back to Viridian City's Pokemon Center. We continue our story where we left off in Viridian City's Pokemon Center. Ash is being approached by an incredibly angry redhead who is carrying a smoldering bicycle. The girl angrily introduces herself as Misty before demanding to know who Ash thinks he is, stealing her bike and just completely ruining it like that. Ash introduces himself to Misty, profusely apologizing for the way he treated her property. He explains to the girl that he had recently started his journey that same day and that he initially had problems with his partner Pikachu, and he was very desperate to make sure it was okay. Misty, hearing this, begins to feel a bit bad for the boy, not realizing that he's really just a kid, and it must have been awful to go through all of that on his first day. She seems to forgive him, stating that he still owes her a new bike. Ash agrees to this, saying that as soon as he gets to Cerulean City, he'll make sure to check out its bike shop to get her a new bike. Misty agrees that this is fair and lets the boy know that she'll be following him at least for the time being. Two are getting ready to head out of the Pokemon Center when they hear a loud, "Hey Ashy boy." Ash turns around with a grin on his face, seeing his childhood friend and rival Gary. Gary approaches the duo, asking Ash if he has that Pikachu under control now. Ash nods his head yes, and Pikachu cries along as if to confirm this fact. In that case, the Oak Boy says, how about a one-on-one to test each other's partner Pokemon before we truly start on our journeys? There's a battlefield we can use out back behind the Pokemon Center. Ash gets excited. What do you say, buddy? How about we have our first battle against my friend Gary and his Eevee? Pikachu lets out a happy cry as if to say he's down for anything with his new trainer. Alright Gary, you're on, the raven-haired youth says. The two head to the battlefield, taking their positions at each end. The two then send out their partners. Eevee, I choose you. Alright Pikachu, let's do this. The two Pokemon take their stances at either end of the field, with Misty being the referee for this battle. Eevee stands confidently awaiting Gary's call. Meanwhile, Pikachu is a little nervous as he's never willingly listened to a human before. Misty makes the call to begin the battle. Gary leads off. Alright Eevee, let's get this started with a quick attack. The little brown Pokemon darts down the battlefield headed towards Pikachu. Ash calls for Pikachu to use agility to increase his speed and dodge it. Pikachu, however, hesitates, as it almost used discharge instead. Due to this blunder on Pikachu's end, when Pikachu finally does use agility, it's a tad bit too slow, allowing for Eevee to clip the rodent's tail. Ash notices this, asking Pikachu what's wrong. Pikachu looks back at Ash in an attempt to reassure him, but his face looks unsure. Gary capitalizes on this. Eevee, quick, swift! Ash tells Pikachu to counter this with discharge, but it hesitates again. Ash calls out to Pikachu to get its head into battle, and Pikachu does so, but not after taking a few hits from Swift. It then releases its discharge, which lands its mark on Eevee, and it does a surprising amount of damage. Eevee seems to be one good hit for being unable to battle, and everyone is shocked at this, even Ash is. This even gets Misty to comment on how for someone who just started his journey, he has himself quite the powerful partner. Gary makes a remark saying his dad found him quite the Pokemon, didn't he, Ashy boy? Ash chuckles at this, thanking the two, but stating he and Pikachu have a ways to go as they're not even battling in sync currently. Head back into battle, Gary instructs Eevee to play it defensively with a double team, and to follow it up with a quick attack. Eevee does this, confusing Pikachu as it gets barraged at all sides, not knowing which one is the real Eevee. Ash yells for Pikachu to dodge with another agility, but Pikachu's unable to. It's being flanked at all sides by Eevee's double team quick attack combo. Ash, now in a panic, tells Pikachu to get rid of all the double teams and finish it with a second discharge. Pikachu's cheeks begin to spark as it gets ready to follow through on this order, but right before it can, Gary makes one last call. Eevee, quick! Use Sand Attack and blind Pikachu. Pikachu, upon getting sand in its eyes, begins to really panic. It starts to flail around. Ash yells at Pikachu to pull itself together, but Pikachu in its panic doesn't hear Ash and continues to flail around in an attempt to get the sand out. Gary capitalizes on this by telling Eevee to use another Swift. This time, the attack hits Pikachu in its entirety, sending the rat flying towards its trainer, clearly also on its last legs. But before it can completely freak out, it finally hears Ash call out to it, "Pikachu, calm down. I know you're a little scared right now. It's our first battle together as partners. We need to work together if we want to win. Don't worry about the sand in your eyes. Just trust me and I'll be your eyes." Pikachu turns its head towards Ash before finally choosing to trust Ash completely, nodding its head and getting back into a battle stance. Gary instructs Eevee to finish this with a quick attack, and Ash instructs Pikachu to dodge with agility once more, telling him to run to the left. Pikachu does this without hesitation. Gary tells Eevee, "Keep up the quick attack and chase down Pikachu," and Eevee does so, putting pressure on Ash as Pikachu has no clue how close to it Eevee is. The battle turns into an almost literal game of cat and mouse as Pikachu uses its increased speed to run away from Eevee as Ash gives it directions, with Eevee in hot pursuit with quick attack. Eventually, Ash yells at Pikachu, "Jump in the air!" Gary instructs his Pokemon in return. Eevee turn around and jump back at Pikachu. Eevee comes to a stop before gaining momentum in the opposite direction with a quick attack and jumping towards Pikachu, leaving the mouse with no place to dodge anymore. Ash, thinking quickly, shouts, "Pikachu, finish this! You slam!" Pikachu, hearing this, proceeds to flip in the air before heading straight towards Eevee, tail first. However, due to Pikachu's blindness, he misses Eevee's head, hitting it on the back instead. This allows Eevee's quick attack to also land its mark, causing the two Pokemon to crash to the ground. When the dust settles, it reveals Pikachu and Eevee on top of one another, spirals for eyes. Pikachu and Eevee are unable to battle. This match is a draw. Gary recalls Eevee, thanking it for the awesome battle. Ash walks to the center of the field, picking up Pikachu, who had just woken up. He thanks his buddy for the great effort he put in, saying that when it's rested up, they'll start training to work together better. Gary, meeting Ash in the middle, comments, "Man, your Pikachu packs some crazy power." Ash thanks Gary once again before commenting on how well he and Eevee work together. Gary, rubbing the back of his head, says that since he had more time to get to know Eevee, he just took a while watching it and how it behaved, since getting to know his Pokemon's particular traits helped him command them better in battle. Ash thanks Gary for the tip, while they both head into the Pokemon Center. The two get their Pokemon checked out by the nurse once again, and Gary decides to head out that night and get a head start, whereas Ash decides to sleep the night at the Pokemon Center to give Pikachu a break. Later that night, Pikachu is up, Ash is asleep, murmuring about how he and his electric buddy are going to become the strongest the world has ever seen. The mouse is reflecting on the battle it had earlier. While it hadn't necessarily lost, it didn't win either. Given the gap in power it seemed to have over Eevee, had he simply just trusted his trainer more, they could have won that easily. Pikachu doesn't dwell on this too long, however. The mouse finally lets the exhaustion creep in, snuggling into Ash's arms. As it falls asleep, it hopes to better sync up with its trainer, for both of their sakes. The next morning, Ash and Misty are up bright and early, ready to make the journey through Viridian Forest. Misty and Ash make pretty good progress through the forest, as Misty hates bugs and she wants to get through there as soon as possible. Just as things begin to calm down, Misty feels something crawling on her legs. She looks down, chills running down her spine, and when she looks what has attached itself to her leg, she sees a Weedle. The two stare at each other for a moment, blinking as they process, before Misty lets out a blood-curdling scream. She begins shaking her leg violently, screaming, get it off, I hate bugs." This sends Weedle flying off of her leg. Ash reacts quickly to this, lobbing a Pokeball at the larva before Weedle gets a chance to crash against a tree, saving it and adding it to his team. When Misty finally calms down, she asks Ash what was that for, and the boy explains that it wouldn't have been fair to Weedle to harm it just because she was scared of it. He also adds that Weedle clearly just wanted to make some friends, and that he's always been interested in Beedrill. Ash then lets Weedle out of its ball, introducing it to the team. He then lets out Mankey, as the pig monkey hasn't gotten some exercise in a while. Like usual, Mankey scratches Ash in the face before running off, chuckling to itself. All of Ash's Pokemon seem to get along rather well after some introductions, and begin to start playing together. Seeing this, Ash and Misty decide to settle down, making dinner for the night. The Pokemon continue to play together, Weedle and Pikachu playing tag, and Mankey doing some shadowboxing. Eventually, dinner is ready, so Ash and Misty call in their Pokemon for dinner. The group enjoys a healthy meal, Then Ash presents all the Pokemon present with a little dessert treat, an orange berry. All the Pokemon begin to dig in, and as Weedle begins to take a bite, a Pokemon swoops in, stealing its berry from the bug. Weedle begins to tear up, begging for its newfound trainer to do something. Ash, getting a better look at the Pokemon, realizes it's the Starling Pokemon, Starly. He realizes this Pokemon usually travels in flocks, causing him to wonder if this one got separated from its flock before looking at Pikachu, asking if it's down for a battle. With a bark of its name, the rodent gets into a battle stance, awaiting Ash's order. Pikachu, use agility. Hop from tree to tree until you get high enough and then use slam. The rodent follows up on this, hopping from tree to tree before hopping from the tallest tree, bringing its tail down on the bird Pokemon before flipping and landing on all fours. Ash cheers Pikachu on before lobbing a Pokeball at the bird. The ball shakes once, shakes twice, but then releases Starly. Clearly, this bird is going to take more to catch than that. Starly retaliates with a double team to try and confuse Pikachu before coming in with a wing attack. Ash, having dealt with something similar to this, decides to have Pikachu let loose. Alright Pikachu, let's get rid of all of them. Use Discharge! Pikachu lets electric currents rip loose, but it has an adverse effect. While it does hit all the Starly clones, the real Starly was flying just outside of the range of the discharge. Meanwhile, Ash and his Mankey were inside its range. Shocked that its discharge attack hurt its trainer and not the Pokemon it's battling, Pikachu relents, rushing to its trainer and teammate to make sure they're okay. We're gonna need to work on that electric attack of yours, Ash quips, before feeding Mankey a cherry berry to help with its paralysis. He notices, however, that Mankey's fists continue to crackle with electricity before completely coming alight. That must be Thunder Punch! That's awesome, Mankey! Ash then asks Pikachu to switch places with the pig monkey, reassuring Pikachu that he doesn't blame him and soon they'll work on Pikachu's destructive power. Mankey, now up to bat, hops in anticipation from foot to foot, awaiting its trainer's command. Mankey, climb the trees like Pikachu did, and when you get the opportunity, use Thunder Punch. Mankey climbs the trees even faster than Pikachu does, due to its disposition to do so as a monkey. When it's above Starly, its fists crackle electricity one more time before it cracks the bird on the dome with one of its fists, sending shockwaves through the bird and causing super effective damage. This sends Starly hurtling towards the ground, and like with Weedle, Ash throws a Pokeball at it before it can connect, this time successfully capturing the bird. Ash celebrates the capture, thanking Mankey, as well as Pikachu, as not only did it play a role in damaging Starly, but its constant electrocution of Mankey helped it learn the attack that led to Starly's capture. Ash sends out Starly, introducing it to his team. He tells Starly that it didn't have to steal Weedle's food and it could have just asked for some nicely. He then tells the Starling Pokemon to apologize to the bug, which it does. Seeing them make up puts a smile on Ash's face. He hands Weedle a second orange berry and gives one to Starly as well to help it recover its energy. After the events of the night, the group decides to call it in for the night. As everyone is asleep or returned to their Pokeballs, Weedle and Pikachu are up having a conversation looking at the moon. The next morning, Ash is up bright and early doing some training. He's doing some mock battles with Pikachu and Mankey, as these are the Pokemon he expects to help him the most in the upcoming gym battle. Starly, Weedle, I want you two to watch. Try and get a sense of how we work together on this team. Battle mainly consists of Ash attempting to get a handle of Pikachu's discharge attack and its large range and poor control. Pikachu, I want to try something. Use Mankey as a target. Instead of using Discharge outright, try focusing your electrical power on only Mankey. The training goes on for a while, with Pikachu only able to shoot out small jolts of electricity that don't do much and are way too easy to dodge. This frustrates the mouse, causing it to let out a shout of its name before ripping an electric current straight towards Mankey. The current is a lot stronger than the little jolts Pikachu has been doing so far, initially looking like a thundershock attack. Mankey jumps out of the way to dodge it, but then the beam of electricity turns on the spot before shooting again in Mankey's direction. Mankey tries to run for a while, Ash eventually telling the pig monkey Pokemon to cancel it out with his Thunder Punch attack, to which Mankey does. Ash then congratulates his partner Pikachu, telling him he just learned Shockwave, a move that, while being weaker than Discharge, cannot miss. This is actually perfect for Pikachu as it fixes his problem, sacrificing a bit of power for more control. They decide to take a break as the training has tired out both Mankey and Pikachu. Ash checks on his other two Pokemon, expecting to see if watching them train has impacted him at all. While Starly seems slightly interested, the look on Weedle's face is one of absolute determination, as if some warrior spirit has been unlocked. The time to test out this newfound warrior spirit soon comes, however. From some bushes, mechanical arms stretch out, grabbing Pikachu and Mankey, who are too tired to fight back. Ash, yelling for his friends, asks who is there and demands they return his Pokemon. This elicits laughter from a group of three before we hear that iconic motto. The three introduce themselves as Team Rocket. After the shock of a talking Meowth, Ash again demands his Pokemon back. This gets a response from the redhead of the group. We've been telling you for a while, Twerp. You have some pretty powerful Pokemon for a boy your age. Pikachu seems to be far beyond its capabilities for a trainer of your level, and Mankey that know Thunder Punch are incredibly rare. The man with purple hair then adds, we decided to do you community service and take them off your head. Me, Jesse, and Meowth are off to give this to our boss, Gio. Meowth cuts the man off. James, shut your trap! Ash raises an eyebrow at the name before deciding that, if you're not gonna give me my Pokemon, I'll battle for them. Ash sends out Starly at the two Rocket members, instructing it to use a wing attack. Jessie sends out her Ekans and James his Coughing, telling Coughing to use Sludge and Eking Poison Sting. Starly manages to dodge the poison barbs launched at it, but this causes it to be distracted, allowing for Coughing's Sludge attack to hit its mark, blinding Starly. Now panicked a little, Starly begins to fall to the ground, allowing Ekans to follow up with a tackle attack, knocking the bird out. Ash is starting to panic a little, as that's 3/4 of his team unable to battle. He turns to Weedle, asking it if it's ready to battle. Weedle steps up to the bat and the two Pokemon charge at it. Ash orders a string shot. The larva lets out a silk stream from its mouth, encasing the two Rocketmons before swinging them around and launching them. Ash then tells Weedle to do the same with Jesse, James, and Meowth, telling it to send them flying with a poison sting attack. The members of Team Rocket soon find themselves cocooned, quite literally in fact, before the bug sends them blasting off. Ash then frees his two captured Mons, thanking Weedle for its hard work. Having gained all that experience from that battle, Weedle uses String Shot, cocooning itself as it glows in an evolutionary light. When the light fades, Weedle is no more, with a brand new Kakuna taking its place. Ash is excited for his friend, welcoming Kakuna to the world. After this, he cleans the gunk out of Starly's eyes, giving it some citrus berries to help it restore its strength. The next day, the two continue down the road, headed for Pewter City once more. Fortunately for Misty, she feels yet another sensation on her leg. It's another Weedle. After running away to get the bug off of her leg, Ash sends out his Kakuna to battle the Weedle in hopes of gaining more experience. This battle doesn't take long, as after Ash commands a hardened counter Weedle's Poison Sting, the larva bounces right off of the cocooned Pokemon, smashing into a tree. Weedle decides to call for backup, so it chooses to run away. In Ash's eyes, however, this is a victory for him and Kakuna, celebrating with his bug. Ash is jumping around for joy with Kakuna and Pikachu when all of a sudden, they are interrupted. Are you a trainer from Pallet? A boy in samurai getup would appear in front of Ash, swinging his blade right in Ash's face. Well, kinda. I was born in Pallet Town, but my father runs a Viridian City gym, so we moved to Viridian. Samurai is intrigued. While you are not technically a trainer from Pallet, the chance to take down a gym leader's successor is not one I can pass up on. Ash of Viridian, I challenge you to a 3-on-3 Pokemon battle. Thinking like-mindedly, Ash should not pass up on the chance for his Pokemon to test themselves. Getting into a battle stance, the two send out their Pokemon. Samurai leads with a Dustox, and seeing this, Ash decides to send out his Starly. Dustox, use Psybeam! The little moth Pokemon then releases a ray of psychic energy at Starly. Ash commands Starly to dodge it, and then follow up with a wing attack. The little starling starts to spin as it flies, narrowly avoiding the Psybeam, before correcting its positioning and nailing Dustox with a wing attack, taking the Pokemon out in just one hit. Ash congratulates Starly for a win well earned, taking a mental note of the way Starly moves as it fights. Samurai returns his Dustox, sending Pinsir in its place. Starly, lead this off with a sand attack. Starly kicks off both Typhoon of Sand, obscuring Pinsir's vision. Ash then commands Starly to get in close with a quick attack, and to spin to increase its speed. Starly does so, quickly becoming a blur to the already obscured Pinsir. Samurai tells his bug Pokemon to hold strong and wait for his signal. Right as Starly is about to make contact with Pinsir, Samurai yells, "Pinsir now!" Use Vice Grip. The beetle leans forward at the perfect time before grabbing onto Starly with its pincers. The grip on the starling is tight, and Ash begs for it to escape. Starly doesn't have enough room to move, however, and Samurai decides to finish this off. Pincer superpower. The bug begins to glow in fighting type energy before tossing Starly into the ground and tackling it with all its might. When the collision is done, Pincer gets up, leaving Starly in a crater, spirals for eyes. Ash thanks Starly for doing such a great job before returning it to its ball for some rest. He then makes a weird choice for his next Pokemon. He chooses to battle with Luna. I choose you. The Chrysalis Pokemon hits the ground with a slight thud before the battle starts back up. Pincer, crush that Cocoon in half. Use Vice Grip. The Stag Beetle darts down the grassy field before picking up Kakuna with its pincers. Ash sees this going all according to plan and commands Kakuna to use Harden and break Pincer's pincers. As Pincer begins to squeeze, Kakuna glows a bright yellow, hardening his shell, causing the pricks on Pincer's pincers to snap off. The grip on Kakuna loosens and the bug slides off. Kakuna, finish it off with a poison sting. The Chrysalis sends out a bunch of barbs in Pincer's direction, finishing the Pokemon off. Samurai compliments Ash's strategy before sending out his Metapod as his third and final Pokemon. The battle then devolves into both Metapod and Kakuna using Harden as much as possible, as if to show off which Cocoon can get harder. This causes the battle to go on for hours until both Ash and Samurai keel over in exhaustion. Both get back up on their feet to continue their battle, but unfortunately for them, they have some unexpected spectators. A swarm of Beedrill are headed toward them. The Weedle that Ash had battled earlier had alerted a swarm of them, as well as a Kakuna with them. Samurai returns his Metapod before running off. Ash, wanting to do the same, is about to return his Kakuna to his Pokeball, but a Beedrill grabs the Chrysalis and flies off, while other Beedrills chase Ash and the group. After a while of chasing and running, the group manages to hide in some shrubs. They then look to see a nest of Kakuna nearby, Ash noticing his own Kakuna at the root of the tree. Ash smiles to get up and go retrieve his Pokemon, but Samurai stops him. You do know those Kakuna can evolve into Beedrill at any moment, right? Ash is getting annoyed. Raising his voice, he says he doesn't care and he just wants his Pokemon back. As if to confirm Samurai's warning, every Kakuna hanging from the tree begins to glow in an evolutionary light. Chrysalis is cracking open as a new swarm of Beedrill emerges, all except for Ash's Kakuna. Ash, seeing this, rushes in anyways, Pikachu right behind him. His plan is simple: retrieve Kakuna and get the heck out of there. Unfortunately, it isn't as simple as returning Kakuna to its Pokeball, as the Beedrill are blocking the beams of light used to retract one's Pokemon. This leaves only one option: to get in there. As a horde of Beedrill closes in on Ash, he shouts, Pikachu, use a discharge attack. Pikachu's all-out electric attack wards off the Beedrill temporarily, but they soon get back up and attack Pikachu and Ash, who by now had reached the tree and secured Kakuna. The Beedrill are too much for Ash and Pikachu currently, and the trainer finds himself huddled over the two Pokemon while the wild bugs jab at him with their stingers. Kakuna, deciding it's had enough, jumps into the air, taking a hit from a Beedrill's Fury attack, cracking its shell open. A glow then emerges from the crack in its body, opening up the Chrysalis, and a brand new Beedrill emerges. Right after evolving, Beedrill charges into the nearest wild Beedrill at high speed, slashing at it with immense precision. Ash spots this, stating, "That's Aerial Ace." Congratulating Beedrill on its new evolution and new move, he commands Beedrill to take care of the rest of them with another Aerial Ace. Beedrill proceeds to blitz through the horde of wild Beedrill, striking each one individually with pinpoint precision. Beedrill strikes a pose with its stingers in an X position, and all the other Beedrill fall down, knocked out. Ash celebrates with his Beedrill and Pikachu, and the other come back to check up on them. After complimenting Ash and his Beedrill, Samurai directs him and Misty to the quickest route out of this forest into Pewter City. We will meet again, Ash of Viridian. I will get stronger and beat you next time we battle. Ash responds, I bet our battle will be amazing. Maybe you should take on the gym challenge and we can meet in the Pokemon League? Samurai likes the sound of this idea, agreeing to face him in the Pokemon League. As the group says their goodbyes to Samurai and heads towards Pewter City, this is where we will leave off for now. So, what are your thoughts for this part? How do you feel about me replacing Pidgeotto with Starly and Butterfree with Beedrill? I don't know what it is about Beedrill. I've formed a sort of mini obsession with it lately. And honestly, in other what ifs myself that I've watched, I've seen a lot of people give Ash a Beedrill. So it's almost like Had it not been for Butterfree, Bijo was just meant to be. Especially since if you go back and watch the original Kanto series, Ash did try catching a Weedle. It's just that Samurai interrupted him, so the Weedle got away and alerted the Beedrills. But let's see what happens next. Leave your comments and suggestions down below. What do you think is going to happen in the next part that Ash challenges the Pewter City gym leader, Brock? There's only one way to find out, by staying tuned as the journey continues.